Why does Paul care if they sing? Because singing always influences. Why did Caesar make sure they wrote songs about Caesar? So no one in the empire would ever think or dare to fight against Caesar, because everyone sings to Caesar and about Caesar. Why is it such a big deal what we listen to or sing over and over in our minds? Because it influences. You sing it long enough, you'll believe it. Because speaking is how we convey the thoughts in our head to one another, but singing is how we convey the feelings in our heart. He also gives us 3 specifics, and I'm not going to nerd out here, but this is why it's important that we sing the songs that we sing. He says, psalms, hymns, and spiritual psalms. Psalms are the Psalms of David, the scriptures in the Psalms. And it just so happens that I did not let the worship team know that we sang a song this morning that had language from the Psalms of David. Bless God in the sanctuary. That is a psalm. Why is it important that we sing the Psalms? Because it's good for us to sing and memorize scripture. Then he says hymns. This actually references the hymns of Old Testament figures like Moses and Barak that had been carried through the Old Testament into New Testament churches, and they were singing them still. Why is that important? Because it's not just good enough to sing the scriptures. You need to sing songs that people who went before you sang. Did y'all know this morning? We sang a hymn from the 1800s in our first song. Yes, there was a drum and guitar, but it was still a hymn that we sang, written by a Swedish man who experienced a storm in 1885. Why is it important that we sing old songs? Because your faith is longer running than just your generation or you. You are a part of a body that goes back generations. And before you think, well, we should just sing hymns and psalms, he says spiritual songs. What's the idea there? He's saying we should constantly be writing new songs to honor the Lord. Every generation is called to write music that honors their Creator. And listen, every church can't write church music, but thankfully the Big C Church is still producing new Christian music. But we ought not to gather together and only sing new songs or only sing old songs. We need all of these songs. We need songs that remind us of the Psalms. We need songs that remind us of our great-great-great-grandparents' heritage and faith that has been passed down. And we've received a faith that is not about us, but we're passing on to the next generation, because it's not about our preferences. This is about us worshiping the Lord with generations that have gone before us. And then in our creativity, we're called to write new songs. So a healthy church should be singing new songs and old songs and songs that we wrote, but songs that are based clearly on the scripture and use scriptural language. Why? Because we ought to be influenced by the scriptures, by our Creator, and by the generations that have gone before us and worshiped the Lord. Pay attention to who you allow to influence you through your ears.